Today I wanted to talk about kind of utilizing different locations, having like multiple different bases. I'm a complete believer in this philosophy. I actually took this from Andrew Henderson, um, who is kind of like an international tax accountant who helps high level entrepreneurs reduce their taxes. So anyway, he has the idea of having multiple different bases around the world. So for example, you have one location for your business. You have one location for having fun. You maybe have one location for like relaxing, and then you could have like another location maybe for like your family and for your friends, and maybe like another place for like winter sports, or maybe that falls into your like fun category as well. But the general idea is to understand like your goals and find locations that align really, really well with them. I don't believe that there's actually one location all that kind of covers, that is the most optimized location for all of your goals. For example, Georgia in Eastern Europe, I've lived out in for 4 years. For business, I think it's fantastic. A foreigner can open up a company there, a foreigner can have a bank account there, it's 0% taxes, you have access to very, very cheap labor. However, in terms of fun, it's very, very limited. In terms of dating, it's also like if you're looking at pursuing multiple women, it's not the best country, but for finding a girlfriend, it's actually probably one of the best. In terms of like going out to great restaurants and there being like a wide selection of like food and great restaurants to go to, it's very, very limited. Customer service is appalling. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to just sit there complaining about Georgia. I'm just kind of weighing up the fact that there's pros and cons of each country. So as much as I choose Georgia for my business, to host my business there because of the reasons I just mentioned, I also have an apartment there. I also have cars there. Like I have assets there. I love it as a country, but it definitely doesn't. There's no one country, in my opinion, in the world that serves all purposes. It's also very, very cheap to live in, by the way, I should add, which for some of you is something that you should really consider. Not necessarily Georgia, but just living in like a cheaper country. If you're in the US or in the UK or in like these major countries paying huge bills and you feel that you haven't got financial freedom, you can very easily achieve that if you're able to work online and go and live in like these cheaper countries, which is the whole idea of where like the digital nomad movement came from. In terms of my thoughts on being a digital nomad, I have been a digital nomad for about 2 years when I first started out. If you're doing like a freelance job, if you're like a designer or a developer, or any like a copywriter, whatever type of job you can do online, and you're working for someone else or you're working as a freelancer, that's fine, you can do it. However, if you're trying to build a business, I do not suggest you to be a digital nomad moving around all the time. Travel comes with its own set of problems, and you can try to minimize them as much as possible, but there's just unforeseen things, which is kind of like the beauty of travel, right? You're going there for the unknown experiences. However, when you're trying to run a business, you kind of want to minimize the number of unforeseeable events and kind of issues that happen. Like I remember when I was in Bali on a call with like trying to close a client for like $10,000, and there's a power cut and like a thunderstorm going on, and it always happens at the worst times as well, right? And like even like sometimes more recently, like I try to travel around from to a new location every 3 months. So at the moment I'm in Europe. Prior to this, I spent 3 months in Colombia, and before this, I was in Dubai for 3 months. Prior to that, I was in Georgia for 3 months. But even doing like not moving around all the time, just moving around every 3 months, we still encounter our own like unique set of issues. So I try to minimize like moving of locations to like 4 different bases per year, but make sure that you understand each different location and really utilize it to its strengths. For example, Dubai is absolutely fantastic for networking. The people that you can meet out there are great. I love Dubai for like the fun aspect of things, like great restaurants, always something kind of going on. Same with Colombia, like for pursuing women. Colombia is a perfect example, actually. I'm British, and I think they're kind of used to a lot of Americans going on. Don't get me wrong, they still love Americans, but as soon as they would hear like my accent, not that I think I even have a strong British accent, but as soon as like they realized that I was British and not American, like blonde hair, blue eyes, let's just say it really puts dating in your favor, and it's easy enough there as it is. So kind of depending on your goals, I really believe in trying to put yourself in a position where you're putting the odds in your favor of success. And those goals can be anything. For example, another big one for me is like fitness. I find whenever I'm in Dubai, I kind of lose weight. It's very easy to eat healthy out there, and the negative is it's expensive to do that, but it's very easy to do so. There's so many healthy restaurants. You can order takeaway of like all your calories and macros calculated. Walking on the beach, like I absolutely love. So Dubai, maybe this is one that most people weren't expecting, but it's actually a really good location for me in terms of losing weight and being more healthy. Whereas if I'm in Georgia, for example, when I first arrived in Georgia, I was actually in pretty good shape. And by the time I left, I was about two stone heavier, which is about 20 kilograms heavier. Anyway,